The NBA draft is about a month away, and I feel like I don't have to say this, but I'm going to anyways. The NBA draft is better than the NFL draft. I mean, during the NBA draft, it's only 2 rounds, and you know about 90% of the people that get drafted. Maybe outside of a couple foreign guys or people on like G League Ignite or something like that, you're gonna know most of the guys that get picked. In the NFL, even if you're a college football fan, you know like 25% of the people picked. I'm not trying to throw shade at the NFL, but this video, it's all about the NBA, college basketball, and the NBA draft. I've seen a few articles on ESPN about people ranking prospects or surveys about who the most overrated or underrated players and prospects are. So I'm gonna pick one today, go through, read it, give my expert advice on this expert advice. And of course, this channel, all sports, all the time. If you're a sports fan, you have to hit subscribe. Just hit that subscribe button. You have to. So I picked 2025 NBA Draft Player Survey. Who is the most underrated prospect? Obviously, Cooper Flag's on the front here. That's a crazy screenshot to go with for that video. But obviously, they're not going to say like Cooper Flag, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, guys like that. So hopefully we go a little bit deeper, find some more sleepers, and I'll give my input here and there when I feel necessary. Also, a couple days ago was the deadline for players to withdraw their names from the NBA draft. Some guys like Tahad Pettiford, Boogie Fland, 2 of the biggest names, I think, on that list. So this came out before then, May 28th. So we'll just go through, see what these people say, and see if I agree, if I disagree, and what my thoughts are about who they think is the most underrated prospect going into the 2025 draft. But what do prospects think of their peers? I didn't get to watch any of the NBA Combine this year, which I usually do. That might be a little psychotic for me to say that I usually watch the NBA Combine, but I find it interesting, I find it entertaining, and I mean, I'm just a basketball freak, a nerd, maybe if you will, so missing out on it this year was pretty disappointing for me. Most popular picks, of course, Tahad Pettiford out of Auburn. He did withdraw his name from the draft, so I mean, he still could be considered an underrated prospect, maybe even going into next year, which I think he's going to help his stock even more going into year 2 for him. But I was on this kid since the beginning of the season, and of course, as we got into conference tournaments and March Madness tournament, people saw him and realized just how good he was. I think I was on him before anybody else, but I mean, I think this is a good pick to cast him as an underrated prospect. So Borzello described Pettiford as the best player on the floor in the first scrimmage at the Combine. 23 points, 8 assists, and then somehow they said that he rose from the number 39 prospect to the number 37. I mean, like, that's just so specific. And he was the most popular pick in the survey with 4 votes, including from former teammate John I. Broome. So I mean, a little bit, I like to see guys going against other guys. I don't want to hear their teammates talk about them because obviously they're going to talk about him in a good light. Broome said he's a very good guard. He'd bring a lot to an NBA team for sure. He's very explosive, makes the right plays. He's young, but can definitely grow into a very good young player. I agree with that. Drake Powell, UNC boy, he said, I think he's a really good, smart defender, and his ability to score the rock is great. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a great defender. He can be a little disruptive with on-ball defense. My NBA player comp, I can't really pin down a good one. For some reason, I keep going back to Cam Payne. Just because they're both lefties, I guess that's what's in my head. But somebody described Tahad Pettiford as his play style is herky-jerky, which is kind of a good way to describe it, even though that might not be an actual phrase or words. But, I mean, similar to Cam Payne, how he can dribble, get down into the paint, little mid-range floaters, good passers, not great three-point shooters, but they can shoot the three-point ball. So right now, I think my comparison has to be Cam Payne until I think of a better one, which I think we will as we get closer to the draft, because I'd like to come out with some sort of video of comparisons or busts or sleepers or something like that. Number 2 on this list for most underrated prospect, Carter Bryant, the forward out of Arizona. He received 3 votes as the most underrated player. Carter Bryant, I think he is a good prospect. I didn't know if I'd see his name on this list, but he's a good player. He's a good defender, high energy. He was I didn't think this Arizona team was going to be all that good this year. I mean, they had Caleb Love, who played well at the end of the year, but I think Carter Bryant made a big impact, making this team better than I actually thought they would. Caleb Love, teammate, we'll just see what he says. I think he's a sleeper. He's young. His potential's through the roof. He's a catch and shoot, and he's a catch and shoot. I don't think that's a proper sentence. He can knock down and catch and shoot. He's an athletic freak, and he can defend pretty much 1 through 5. So if that was word for word what Caleb Love said, that might not even be actual sentences, but the gist of it, he is an athletic freak. He's a good defender, so I think good to see him on this list, and he deserves it. Drake Powell, number 3. He received 2 votes from the players at the Combine. As the first player off the board in the second round of ESPN's latest mock draft, Powell rounds out the short list of prospects named by more than one of their peers. Like Bryant, one of Powell's votes came from a college teammate, and the other came from another popular pick in this survey. Here's my thing with Drake Powell. At the beginning of the North Carolina season, basically the whole season, I thought Ian Jackson was better than Drake Powell, a better prospect, just more athletic, more aggressive on the offensive side. And then like the second half of North Carolina's season up to the tournament, Drake Powell stood out a lot. A freshman, he got some starting minutes. He came off the bench a lot of games, had to compete for minutes really at some points during the year. Ian Jackson staying in college, transferring out of North Carolina, which is making me very upset, and losing Drake Powell is making me upset. But I do believe that Drake Powell is a good NBA prospect. Kind of wish he was a little bigger, but he's a really good defender. He can shoot the 3. He can drive and get to the rim. RJ Davis said he has the versatility to defend 1 through 4 with his length and athleticism. He's able to make an impact, but I also think he has an offensive game that wasn't really shown this past year. This North Carolina team just wasn't that good at all. They're lucky to even make the tournament. It was a struggle all year, but Drake Powell did really stand out, I think, amongst experts, college basketball, and NBA fans throughout the country. He's able to create his own and get to his mid-range. Drake is not only a good athlete, but a good person and someone you should want on your team. Teams drafting, whether it's the NBA, NFL, NBA, NHL, they do take into account like your personality. And from what I saw this year at North Carolina, Drake Powell is a good person, like RJ Davis said, and no one better to say that than one of your teammates. So I think Drake Powell was one of the most surprising players in college basketball this year. Not that he had like crazy good games or anything like that, or like had a chance to win Player of the Year, but I think he did have himself a really good season, and he put himself in a great position to be drafted, I think possibly in the first round in the NBA draft. 7 players named their college teammates, including each of the 3 most picked players. The other 4 were not projected in ESPN's latest mock. Okay, so Chucky Hepburn recognized his teammate Terrence Edwards from Louisville. He's a dog on both ends of the floor, and he helped us tremendously, especially on the defensive side. Just guarding the ball, me and him switched off the best on-ball guards this past year. He's definitely one of the biggest sleepers I know in this draft. See, like that's a little optimistic being teammates. Terrence Edwards, I think he is a really good defender. I don't see him getting drafted. He could make some summer league or maybe G League rosters, maybe work his way up to the NBA. I think he's one of those guys that's a good college basketball player, but I don't think he did anything to really like shine to recruiters and scouts and people in the NBA. Good college player, but I don't think he's going to pan out in the NBA if he ever even makes it there. Chaney Johnson from Auburn. Dylan Cardwell said this about Chaney Johnson. He's the hardest worker I've ever played with, and I've played with Jabari Smith, I've played with Walker Kessler, and I've played with Sharif Cooper. Wow, that's a pull there. The work ethic that Chaney has is second to none, blah, 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 blah. Chaney, he's a big body. I just don't see him. Physically, I think he would work out in the NBA, but other than like rebounding and like tipping in the ball in from 2 feet away, I'm not completely sold that he's going to get drafted or ever touch an NBA floor. Again, another good college basketball player, brought the size. He is pretty athletic for his size, and according to Dylan Cardwell, who I think is better than Chaney Johnson, he's an extremely hard worker, which, who knows, that might get him somewhere to get into the NBA, but personally, I just don't think we're going to see him in an NBA jersey at all. Thomas Sorber, his teammate Micah Peavy at Georgetown, he's a dog. I know he's old, but he ain't that old. He's a great player, has a feel for the game, great defender. I think he's one of the best defenders in this class. Defensively, I don't know. Micah Peavy, he's been tossed around the country, Texas Tech, Georgetown. I think he is a good player. He can make shots. I think he's a good offensive player, but again, I don't think he does anything, one specific thing really well that's really going to spark interest in NBA scouts. So Micah Peavy, I did enjoy watching him in college for like the 4 or 5 years he was there, but I just don't see him Again, another guy I don't see making an NBA roster. All right, I see this next name and I know it's going to make me upset. But at the top it said these guys aren't projected in ESPN's latest mock drafts. Grant Nelson, the past two, ever since he transferred to Alabama, I cannot believe that some people don't think he's an NBA player. He's 6'10", 6'11". I mean, in the March Madness run last year, he was absolutely brilliant. He beat North Carolina's ass almost single-handedly. He played really well in that game specifically. This tournament, he dealt with some injuries, but during the year, again, he was a really good player. He's 6'10", 6'11". He can score down low, super athletic. I think he's an underrated defender. He's a really good shot blocker. I think Mark Sears, his teammate, says when his shot's on, he can space the floor. He can guard multiple positions. He's not the best three-point shooter. I think he struggled towards the end of the year this year, and especially in the March Madness tournament. But he can shoot the three. If he shoots like 33 to 37% from three in the NBA, I think he's going to have a very successful career. I think he's one of my deepest sleepers, even though he shouldn't be going into this draft. I think he deserves to get drafted. It might be a second-round pick. I don't see him going in the first round or anything like that. Same with Mark Sears. I don't think he deserves to be drafted in the first round. People are probably going to be angry that I said that, but maybe I'll explain myself later. But I think Grant Nelson deserves to be drafted. Apparently, he's not on any of the recent mock drafts. I think that's absolutely blasphemous, to put it in Stephen A. Smith's terms. I think a lot of teams are going to pass on Grant Nelson, obviously, and the team that gets him, whether in the draft or a free agent signing, undrafted free agent, they're going to love having this guy on their team. Whew. All right, this is going to be my last section. Votes of self-confidence. Of the three prospects that picked themselves, 3 people picked themselves when asked who were the most underrated prospects in the draft. You got to love the self-confidence, but could be a little cocky, could get them in trouble. The names I see here, I kind of agree. 2 were not projected in ESPN's latest mock draft. Max Shulga from VCU and R.J. Lewis from St. John's. Okay, so the guy to name himself but still be in mock drafts is the Penn State big man Yannick Conan Niederhauser. He's projected to go number 36 in this year's draft, so an early second-round pick. I don't know if that's how you say his name, but start back at the top. Max Shulga from VCU. I always want to pick VCU in my March Madness brackets. Of course, I took them too far this year, but I watched their A10 tournament run. I watched like the last 3 games that they played. They looked really good. They looked like to be a scary team in March Madness. Of course, they had to play BYU, one of the biggest slept-on teams in the country this year. But Max Shulga, their starting point guard, A10 Play of the Year. He was a dog, really. There's no other way to put it. He's a good three-point shooter. He can drive, attack the rim, good with passing the ball, getting assists. I don't think he'll get drafted, but he can make a name for himself, I think, in Summer League or the G League, be one of the leading scorers, and then possibly find his way to an NBA roster. I'm not rolling that one out. R.J. Lewis, I think it's a little crazy. I don't know. Them saying he's not going to get drafted. He was the Big East Player of the Year this year in college basketball. There was a lot of talks about him transferring, entering the draft, dropping out of the draft, transferring, blah, blah, blah. He didn't play all that well in March Madness, so I think that took a little bit of hit to his stock in the NBA, for the NBA draft. But I mean, before March Madness, he looked like one of the best players in the league, could possibly sprinkle his name in there for Player of the Year. I think he's going to end up being a good NBA player, whether he gets drafted this year or next year, whatever happens to him. But the fact that he said he was the most underrated prospect himself, I like that he still has the confidence that he can still make an impact in the NBA. I think I don't know what's going to happen with him, but he could end up being a late first rounder, a late second rounder, or not even being drafted at all. And then I'll end it with the Penn State big man, Niederhauser, number 36. He is projected to get drafted early second round. I had no clue who this kid was. I assume most college basketball fans didn't have an idea who this kid was until this year. I watched like 2 or 3 Penn State games this year. This kid was everywhere. I mean, he's like 6'11", 7 foot. He is athletic as hell. Maybe like a Daniel Gafford type of, I don't know, just like size-wise. His wingspan's probably like 10 feet long, but around the rim, you do not want to contest him because he will block your shot. He's a great lob finisher. Those like 2 or 3 Penn State games I watched, I mean, I was really impressed with him. He could run the floor really well. Coming into this year, I mean, he probably thought his career was over after college basketball, but now he's going to be in the NBA. He's going to get drafted. He might slide down into that first round because just he's young. His size, his athletic ability, I think is going to do numbers for him. I saw videos from the combine playing against all these other top players in the draft. He was swatting shots, running the floor, dunking the ball. I mean, people said he was one of the most impressive players from this year's NBA combine. So right now he's projected early second round. I would not be surprised if Yannick Conan Niederhauser, if that's how you say his name, goes first round in this year's NBA draft. All right, I did not expect that to be this long, but there was a lot of good stuff in here. I mean, college basketball is just awesome. I love the NBA draft. I'm sure I'm going to have a lot more videos on this channel and on my TikTok, TC Talk Sports. Probably be tweeting out a bunch of stuff as well. Same name, TC Talk Sports. So go follow all that. Subscribe here. Thank you for watching. Comment below your sleepers, your biggest sleepers going into this year's NBA draft. I think it's going to be a good draft. Might not be that deep, but there's definitely a lot of talent, especially at the top of this year's draft. Thank you for watching. See you in June for the draft.